Hydrangeas are such a popular plant in gardens all around the world, and they've been cultivated into a staggering number of varieties. And I have to believe the reason for that is the way a blooming hydrangea can just stop you in your tracks. I mean, the flowers on this hydrangea almost force you to stop and take a moment to admire them. These blooms on this big leaf hydrangea are blue because of the acidic soil. If the soil was more alkaline, then they'd be more of a pink or purplish color. In fact, it's a popular practice to add amendments to the soil to adjust the pH to change the color of the flower. This doesn't work with all hydrangeas, so it's important to know what species and furthermore what variety of hydrangea you have. A common question about hydrangeas is when and how to prune them. A lot of hydrangeas bloom at the start of summer on last year's stems. In other words, they bloom on old growth. Now, if that's the case, in the springtime, just a light pruning to remove the spent blooms from last year. Other hydrangeas bloom at the end of summer on the new stems that have come up. In other words, they bloom on new growth. Now, if that's the case, in the springtime, you can prune them much heavier without fear of losing flowers. Some hydrangeas bloom on new and old growth, and if you prune them accordingly, you can actually enjoy a second round of flowers. Now, there could be other objectives to pruning hydrangeas, such as maintaining its size or to increase airflow and removing some of the congestion. Now, if you know the plant's blooming cycle, then you can do it without being detrimental to the flower show. If you're unsure whether your hydrangea blooms on old growth or new growth or both, then a good rule of thumb is to prune minimally and observe. And then once you can determine your hydrangea's flowering cycle, then you can start to come up with a strategy for next year's spring pruning. Now, hydrangea blooms maintain interest even when they're spent. So it's a common practice to leave the spent blooms on the plant throughout the winter. And they can add texture and interest to a winter garden. They can also help protect some of the plant's new growth.